I'm going to talk today about the hair of the dog and how your drinking progresses, because a very interesting thought about how we go from social drinking to dependence, really, and how you start to drink. Because everyone must have heard of the phrase "hair of the dog." There are some people who are heavy drinkers. Some people drink all the time. Some people are sober curious. Some people who want to stop drinking. There's a lot of different types of drinker around. Hair of the dog for me first started when I used to go on holiday. When you're feeling a bit groggy the next day and you think, well, I've got no responsibility, I'm on holiday. And you think, well, I'll just have one to pip you up a little bit. Then it works, doesn't it? Initially. Because it puts you back into a state of slight intoxication, really. Not drunk or anything, but sort of lifts you up a little bit. And you start to feel a little bit, well, back in the game, really, don't you? So I was thinking about how it progresses in life, really. And sometimes this can turn into maybe doing this the odd weekend. When you have a weekend off and you think, well, Saturday I feel a bit rough, I'm going to have maybe just one or two early in the morning. You look at your watch and think, oh, God, it's nearly 12 o'clock. And if you like a drink, if you start drinking, you carry on, don't you? And if you're a regular drinker, that whole Saturday can be a whole drinking day. And then again, drift into Sunday. And you try and steady up a little bit for Sunday night so you can get back to work on a Monday. I'm not talking about myself in particular here, because I did shift work, but it's the same principle. And this hair of the dog thing can progress. So it can seep into your work week. If you've got a bit of stress, maybe a meeting or something, and you think, well, I don't feel well at all Monday morning, Tuesday morning, whatever, and you think, well, I'll maybe just have a little drink during the day to keep the hangover symptoms at bay. And it's getting really dangerous now. So this can happen for a long time, but you're not drinking every day. It's just when you feel really, really, really bad, because we've all been through it. If you're a heavy drinker, you'll know all about the withdrawal symptoms. I mean, I've heard people say they've got no hangovers, but I think personally my hangovers would be quite acute, and a lot of people I know used to have hangovers. But some people say, oh, I'm fine. They're not fine. You can't be fine, because the damage that alcohol does to your body. But this hair of the dog is a very critical point. And when you start to do this during the week, when you've got a bit of stress or you're a little bit of grief in your life, whatever it is, and it can turn into a 24-hour thing. And very soon, you can maybe turn into a top-up drinker. So you're having that little bit of drink all the time, really. And that can quite quickly turn into, I would say, a 24-hour drinker. So you're not getting hammered at work or anything like that. You're just having a few drinks to get a bit of the symptoms, the withdrawal. But as time goes on, this will get worse. And I think that's when I developed the more serious alcohol dependency, physical and chemical dependency on drinking. And I went through that, and it became very, very difficult to function properly. Because once it starts, it's a bit of a roller coaster, really. It becomes a vicious cycle. And I know people who work in offices and such like, who always used to drink at lunchtime, because that was the way it was in the 80s and 90s. People used to pop out for a pint lunchtime, maybe go back to the pub at 5 o'clock, have a few more, and you know what it's like when you've had one or two, you want a few more, and then you just keep going on. Next day you'll feel worse. And with age, with time, with stress in life, family issues and all that sort of thing, you're just having a couple of drinks just to keep things at bay. But then you get into the stage where you can't leave it. And it's so regular, you're having drinks all the time. That's what happened to me. And not long after I retired, then I returned back to the northeast, and I had all the time in the world, didn't I? And the habit that it turned into an addiction became even more acute. And it turned into what I would call dangerous drinking. So you're going from your social drinking, maybe heavy drinking every day, to this hair of the dog, the chocolate drinking, the 24-hour drinking, and then the dangerous phase, which is when you become very, very ill, which can affect your blood pressure. I've been told before, the pancreatitis comes in, maybe you got liver disease and all this sort of thing. So it starts quite innocently. Like I said, on holiday, you might have one or two just to pull you around a little bit. But when you get to the point where you're going to need it to function, you feel you need it to visit social events, or to go out with friends, or meet your girlfriend, or just a general drink, you're really in. Before you get that, you've got to get some help before you go into heavy alcohol dependence, because that's the killer. And then again, you go back into relapse, you stop for a while and you start again. But I just think when you get to the hair of the dog stage, that's one of the times you've got, obviously the first time, you've got to get some help. Because really, you're not going to get any better yourself. You can't do it on your own. You've got to get some support. And when you're in this stage of active addiction, I would call it, then really you've got to be very, very careful with that. And you have to look at what you want out of life. I mean, I know people who are my age who just drink and drink every day. They're not bothered. They seem not to be bothered about their health or their appearance, whether the addiction's taking them too far. But I know people who can actually stop and not have any problems. They stop for 2 or 3 days, maybe a month or a week or a year. They don't have any seizure or anything like that. They can't stop, but they just don't want to. And I think that was my problem when I was younger. So it's something to look out for. If you're feeling like you need a drink to get rid of the symptoms, then you're really very close to the edge when you're falling off the cliff. And that's very, very dangerous. But as I said, it's a very common phrase. A lot of people do it. And it doesn't affect everybody. I mean, alcoholism doesn't affect everyone. It's affecting a lot more people than it used to, because liver disease or alcohol-related deaths, have risen up massively the last 4 years. And last year was the highest ever alcohol-related death rate in the UK, which is food for thought, isn't it? Particularly amongst women, because their livers aren't as robust as men's. But as I said, it's not just liver problems, it's cancers that can be caused by alcohol. All these other things are linked to it. So you've got to watch what you're doing. And if you want to live a decent life, you want to have a future, you want to look after yourself, you want to look after your family, and you want to enjoy life, you really have to look at cutting down. I'll do some one-to-one sessions. I've got an ebook out there. I'm really helping people as much as I can. If you've got any particular issues you want me to cover, then drop me a line. I'm here to help you. I've been through it all. I've been through, right to the bottom of the bottle. I've been in races, had operations. I've not had a transplant, but I was very close to it, I think, at one point. And I've recovered to what I would say is a pretty good lifestyle, to be honest. But I've got to keep off it. It's a constant battle to keep off it, because alcohol will come back to bite you if you allow it to. So on that note, I'll leave you, have the rest of your day. Please subscribe if you enjoy the channels or you benefit, and share them. And I'll speak to you all very soon.